Hey everyone, this is Axel Fuentes, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Tascam US 16x8 audio interface, which I've had since April. I don't know why I didn't review it back then. I planned to, but I guess I just lost my inspiration or something. Anyways, how this is going to go is I'm going to take it over to my other desk over there, and we're going to have a close-up look at it. Going to go over all the inputs and outputs, and all that good stuff, and what comes in the box if I still have all that around. Then I'm going to show you a time lapse of me connecting up everything. Then I'll go in depth on my setup and signal path, and then I'll show you. Then I'll test it out with maybe one of my my drum set or microphones or one of my basses, and I'll show you guys the software that comes with it. And we'll proceed to that point. So without further ado, let's go have a close-up look at the unit. Okay, guys. So here I have the unit in front of me. It's actually quite large. It fits the 19-inch rack space. If I take off these little side panel things. Unfortunately, though, I don't have my Allen wrench, which is small enough to pop these off, so I'll have to get on that. But yeah, it is rack mountable, and I probably will mount it as soon as I can either build a rack or buy a rack. So starting from right over here, you have two lights right here, a green one, or yellow one, and an orange one. Yellow one is for power, orange is for USB. Here's the main on-off switch. Here you have your two switches for phantom power. So you have, first one is for channels 1 through 4. Second one is for channels 1 through 8. I do prefer the split phantom power because not all of the microphones that I have plugged in are phantom powered. So I can have my phantom powered ones here and my non-phantom powered ones here. So here we have our 8 XLR inputs right here. They're just regular XLRs, not combo jacks. And then here we have 2 1/4-inch inputs, which are inputs 9 and 10. And we have these switches right here, which are either for line level or instrument level, so these change the volume level for the inputs 9 and 10. So right now I just have them both on instrument level because that's where I plug in my drum set. Then here we have 10 knobs, and these 10 knobs are your gain controls for your 10 inputs on the front. And this light is just a red clip light to tell you when you're too loud. And then here's your main volume control, which is for your line out 1 and 2. I'll get to that in a minute, or explain what 1 and 2 means, but this is your main volume control here. And then here you have your headphone output and your headphone jack for monitoring with volume control, obviously. So let's spin it around to the back. So back of the unit, as you can see here, I have more tape with labels. So there's the USB port. This is a fully USB. This is not a Firewire interface hybrid, only USB. And then here you have your MIDI in and output. I could use those, but I don't. I could use these. I could use that for my drum set, but I just choose to use the main outputs for my drum set. I could also plug in my keyboard, but my keyboard doesn't have that kind of MIDI connection. It just has a regular USB connection. All right, so here we have 2 rows. Top row is inputs. Bottom row is the 8 outputs. That's how you get the name of 16x8, because there are a total of 16 inputs and 8 outputs, and there's none of that crap about it's where it says 16 inputs, but in reality it doesn't have 16. This one has full 16, 8 XLRs and 8 1/4-inch, and then it has 8 1/4-inch outputs here. Using the software, you can program like what exactly you want to hear. You can either, if you want, you can either have it be the main mix of everything here. You can have it be the main mix plus what's coming out of the computer, or you can have it be just the computer. And so you have 8 outputs here. Now, if you're not using this with a computer, what's cool about it is that you can just turn this basically into a mic pre. So the 8 XLRs up front will all go here to these 8 outputs in the back. So you can just use this as a basic preamp if you want to. So with the inputs here, we have 16 through 11, and they're stereo pair. And here next to all of them, we have either a 10 decibel drop or a 4 decibel gain. So it just depends on what you have plugged in. Here I have my keyboard plugged in, and here I have my phone plugged in. For my phone, I generally don't use a drop or a lower. I should probably keep it on the 4 dB plus. But yeah. And then here you have your auto power save over here. I have no idea what this does. It's probably somewhere in the instruction manual, which I have yet to read. But I guess it saves power. I don't know. And then here you have your DC in 12 volts. So that's a basic rundown of all the inputs and outputs here on the unit. So now I'm going to take it back over to my main desk, and I'm going to give you guys a speed lapse of the setup. Alright, so first, obviously, I put the interface on my little shelf here, and then I hook up the power, because this thing will not work without power. And then if I don't drop anything else, I plug in the USB from my computer. And then I plug in my monitors on channels 1 and 2, and then I plug in my phone on channels 13 and 14, and then my keyboard on channels 11 and 12. And then I plug in my broadcast mic, which is what you're listening to right now. Now here's a snake that I built to keep things more organized, and these XLRs and 1/4 inches go to everything that I have connected all the time. So my microphones, my DI, and my drum set. And then I can plug in my headphones for monitoring. And those are all the connections that I have for my interface, and as you can see, everything is nice and organized. Alright, cutting back to the camera audio here. I'm going to go over what I have connected. As you can see, I have numbers here. These are mostly for me because I forget where I have things connected. But yeah, let's just go ahead and start from here, I guess. Makes sense to start at number 1. So number 1 here, I have my desk microphone, my Neewer NW800, which I reviewed a few videos ago. Link in the description if you'd like to see that. And number 2, I have my Sterling S50 vocal microphone, which is the very first condenser microphone that I ever purchased, and I still have it. Still works like a charm. And then here, vocal 2, this is my Radio Shack dynamic microphone, which is the first microphone, period, that I got for the studio back in the summer of 2013. Here is my MXL 990, which is my large diaphragm condenser microphone that I have right here, which is what I use to record my upright bass, because it gives me the boomy low end that I'm looking for, while also giving enough high end so that you can hear the bow across the strings, or that you can hear my finger plucking the strings. So this is a great microphone for upright bass. I don't know why more people don't use this one. Now these two, they work as a pair. I'll talk about these in a minute. And here in these two channels I have nothing. And then in 9 and 10 I have my drum set. Now then back here, wait a minute. These are in the wrong place. These are supposed to go right here. So back here in channels 10 and 11, no, excuse me, 11 and 12, I have my keyboard over there, just plugged in with the stereo in and out, or stereo output here into 11 and 12. And then here I have just a basic, just an RCA to 3.5mm cable for my phone whenever I'm on the phone with someone and I'm using this, or if I just want to listen to some of my music, stuff like that, which is right there. And there's the USB, which is obviously going to my computer. Now let me go over here and talk about these. And here is my mess that is my bass setup. Ignore that. My upright bass is currently at my school because my group has a gig on Monday. Anyways, I have this bass here, which is my passive jazz bass, and this, which is my active jazz bass. I have both of those plugged into this. This is a Behringer AB pedal, the AB100. Basically lets me either have 2 instruments to 1 amp or 1 instrument to 2 amps. You can switch the mode here. So right now I have my passive bass plugged into input 1 and my active plugged into input 2. So basically, kind of like any pedal, you step on this and it changes the input. So right now it's on my active bass. Step on it again and it's on my passive bass. And you can control both volumes here. Now if you're using it with the 2 in, 1 out mode, you only get the volume for A, which is a shame, but yeah. This can be powered with a 9-volt battery. I currently have it connected to my power strip because I use up all my 9-volt batteries with that bass and that bass. But that's besides the point. So I have both of those basses plugged into here, and then the output here is just this small patch cable which is connected to the input of my DI box. And then from the DI, the link is connected to the amp, obviously, so I can hear it. And then the amp, I have all the controls here for the amp. I usually just tend to keep it all flat, but I do tend to trim the low end a little bit because I tend to have a lot of power for the lower notes, but not as much for the higher notes. So that's why I've turned down the low end a little bit. And my amp is recorded by this microphone here, which is a Behringer C1. It is a pretty awesome microphone. Many people compare this to a Neumann U87. I don't see why you'd compare this to a Neumann U87 though, because a Neumann U87 makes this microphone look like a French fry. But this microphone is great for my purposes. It records the punchy high end for my electric basses, records great slap bass, and it has your average low end for obviously the low notes of a bass. So I don't have it dead on the dead in the center of the speaker. I just have it. I have it, well, more towards the ring of the speaker cone on the amp, and I don't have it touching the grill cloth. I have it a little bit further away, and that records the sound that I want. And then, so that goes directly to the interface, and so is the direct box. This basically gives it so I can use the direct sound of the bass, and I can blend it with the amp sound, and it gives me a pretty awesome sound for a bass. And depending on what I'm doing, I'll either, well, occasionally I have my large diaphragm dynamic microphone as well, but that's only if I'm doing like solo bass stuff. So yeah, those two inputs, 5 and 6, go directly to my interface to be recorded. So yeah, that's basically the entire setup. Now mind you, this is not going to be permanent, especially not now. Coming up in the next few weeks, I'm going to be buying a whole bunch of new stuff for my studio. Specifically, I'm going to be buying a rack with at least 4 spaces, because there's a few things that I'm definitely gonna install. On that rack, the first of the new things is gonna be a 8-channel headphone amplifier, specifically the Behringer HA8000 8-channel headphone amp. Mostly because I've been down here with friends a lot, and this has been late at night, so my parents are asleep, and I can't be using my monitors. So headphone amplifier, because I mean they all have headphones, so it'd be great because that way I won't be using my monitors, won't wake up my parents, and we'll be able to listen to whatever we need to. So yeah, headphone amp, 8 channels. Number 2 is this Behringer 2-channel compressor. There's 2 microphones that I'd like to have compressed before I send them to the main mix. And for those 2, there's also same thing, but it's a frequency or equalizer, 2-channel, also by Behringer, just to help out, because one of those microphones, it needs a lot of gain, and it has, well, it's a kick drum microphone, so it's intended for low end stuff, but it has too much low end, and it doesn't have enough high end. I actually used that on one of the songs that I'm going to show here in a bit to record a cello, and it sounded awful. Because the cello was recorded quite loudly, I was able to somewhat save the recorded part. But yeah, that microphone is just awful, and it gives too much low end and not enough high end. So even if I did use it on a kick drum, like literally this is all you'd hear. And for some songs like that, just doesn't cut it. Like you have to have the click of the beater against the head of the bass drum or kick drum. So that's gonna be for that one, and then also for a snare drum, that would be the other microphone. But yeah, that's all in the future. I will be doing gear reviews and installation for all of those, so be sure to keep an eye out for those. But yeah, now I'm gonna grab one of my bass guitars, and we're gonna test out the interface with the software. Well guys, due to an unfortunate turn of events, I will not be able to finish this review. The reason being, my screen recording software decided to crap out, and any video file that I record now will crash Sony Vegas, my video editor, so I can't use any of it. The only things you need to know about the software is that it's basically an analog mixer on a computer. And then the other software that I use to record, Traction 7, you can probably find other videos of it on YouTube, but it's quite easy to use, and I showed it off on my last interface review. Anyways, my final thoughts on the interface itself, 5 stars. The reasons being, gets the job done, easy to set up, easy to use. The software is easy to understand, quite user-friendly if I do say so myself. And number 5, it's great for people who are doing a lot of multi-channel recording. For example number 1, top example, drummers. This would be great for any drummer, acoustic drums obviously, because you have 16 inputs, which is way more than any of you should need. But if you're one of those drummers that has like a 30 billion piece kit with like 30 bajillion microphones, this interface would be great for you. It would also be great for anyone doing for anyone who's recording small groups. For example, I was able to use this with my fiddle group. You can actually see it right here in the video. Right there, that is this very interface. I used 7 microphones in a DI box, and I was able to record everyone at once. I didn't have to record one group of people, another group of people, another group of people. I was able to record everyone straight away, one take. And then I was able to manipulate every track individually when I was mixing it and mastering it. Well, this has been my review for the Tascam 16x8 audio interface. Thank you very much for watching, and I apologize for not being able to show you the software, my screen recording software, is to blame for this mess. Hopefully, the makers of Mirrorless Action will fix this soon, and I'll be able to get back to screen recording properly. Once again, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below. My name is Axel Fuentes, and I'll see you next time.